Church. My name is Gabriel and welcome to our first Little Church message. This week we're just doing a bit of a trial run to see how we go, and we're officially launching our Little Churches on the 5th of December. So I'm looking forward to that time. A number of years ago, Catherine, my wife, and I used to attend a church in inner city Sydney. And it was a beautiful old building, sandstone building, and inside we had an old organ, pipe organ that was beautifully painted, and these amazing sandstone pillars and these high ceilings. But being an inner city church, we had many people who would just come off the street, including homeless people, people struggling with addictions and drug and alcohol issues, people with mental health issues. All sorts of people would gather in this building for worship. And it was the first time in my life that I truly just kind of witnessed how people from all kinds of backgrounds can come to worship God, and Jesus accepts them as they are. Well, this story today I'd like to read from, or I encourage your household to read this passage from the Gospel of Luke chapter 7 verses 36 to 50. So Jesus was invited to dinner by a Pharisee. His name was Simon. And a woman who was in the town, she was known as immoral, heard that Jesus was dining there, and so she came along too. And when she entered, she carried this beautiful alabaster jar filled with expensive perfume. And she knelt down at Jesus' feet, and she started weeping, and she started wiping Jesus' feet with her tears. And then she kissed Jesus' feet constantly. And then finally she anointed his feet with this expensive perfume. Now Simon the Pharisee was looking on and thinking to himself, oh man, if this man is truly a prophet, he would know that this woman is sinful and not let her do these things to him. And Jesus read his mind and he said, Simon, let me tell you a story. A man lent 500 pieces of silver to someone and 50 pieces of silver to another. Now neither of these two people could pay off their debts, and so the man forgave them their debts. He cancelled them. Now Simon, which one of these men would have loved the man the most? And Simon replied, well, of course, the man who had been loaned 500 pieces. And Jesus said, you are right. The one who is forgiven much loves much, but the one who is forgiven little loves little. Now this woman, when I entered the house, you didn't give me any water to wash my feet, but this woman washed my feet with her tears. You didn't greet me with a kiss when I came in, and yet this woman hasn't stopped kissing my feet. You didn't give me some olive oil to anoint my head with oil, and yet this woman has anointed my feet with expensive perfume. So this woman's sins, and they are many, have been forgiven. Those who she has shown much love because she has been forgiven much. But those who have been forgiven little show little love. And so Jesus turned to her and said, your sins are forgiven. And the people around, sitting around at this dinner party, thought, who is this man who can forgive sins? And Jesus said to the woman, go in peace. Your faith has saved you. So let's stop at pit stop number 1. What stands out to you in this story? let's just take a moment to think about that, and if you're with others today, have a chat to them about it. What stands out to you in this story? Well, what stands out to me in this amazing gospel story is just the lavishing love of the woman towards Jesus. I mean, she brings this beautiful alabaster jar filled with expensive perfume, and she just lavishes love upon him. And I just find this a really stark contrast to the thoughts, the ugly thoughts of Simon the Pharisee, and kind of the meanness as well. You know, he's supposed to be the host, and yet he's not showing Jesus any hospitality compared to just this incredible love that the woman is showing. So we now come to pit stop number 2, which is, what does this passage say about Jesus? Just pause for a moment, reflect on your own, or talk about it with others in your household. I think this story highlights the character of Jesus as someone who loves unconditionally, and he can just see through people's appearance, through their background, or how they might be accepted or not accepted by others around them. He just cuts through all that and just recognises people's heart. He sees the heart of this woman, and he honours that. So the pit stop number 3 is, what does this story tell us about people, about ourselves? Take a moment to pause and reflect on that question. Well, I think this story tells us about how our rules and the traditions that we might have can actually blind us from seeing people for who they truly are. I mean, Simon is just blinded by his own kind of legalism. You know, he's a Pharisee, so he's seeking up to do the law by the letter, and yet he's just forgetting that he needs to love God with all his heart, his soul, his mind and his strength. And this woman, this sinful woman, is illustrating that, and he can't see it. He's just blinded by his own rules. Finally, what does this mean for us as individuals and as a church community? How can we respond to this story? Well, I think we need to take stock of the traditions that we hold as a church and the spoken or unspoken expectations we have of how people should behave in church or in our community. And how those things can actually be a barrier for others coming into our community for the first time, who may be genuinely seeking a relationship with Jesus. They genuinely want to come close to Jesus, and yet somehow we as a church community might be blocking them or creating a barrier for them to do that. So in conclusion, the gospel story that we've read and explored today from the Gospel of Luke is a powerful illustration of who Jesus truly is. As the Son of God, Jesus is the full revelation of God's love. A love that sees beyond the labels that we might give one another, that sees beyond our past or our present sins. A lavish love that invites us to reciprocate and also to see others as equally deserving of God's attention and favour. So I encourage you now to spend some time in communion and prayer with your household. God bless.